91.7. Every individual has a story, a mixture of scars and victories. No one can ever be fully prepared for life. No one can ever be fully prepared for the twists of fate. Coming to you on Your Women Radio 91.7 FM, Tong Okewale Shunaya will be engaging the ones that are bold enough to bear it all. Only on TounTalks, Sundays, 5 p.m. on Your Women Radio 91.7 FM.
Okay, what I do here every Sunday on TounTalks is to allow life lessons to positively shape our views. And today on TounTalks, my aim is to allow those life lessons about sex to improve our relationships and make living beautiful, with or without sex. The truth is, sex is still treated as a taboo in our communities in Nigeria. Many parents can't talk about it with their children. Churches and mosques avoid it, or they speak about it in ways that make people more confused. Even between partners, sex is often swept under the carpet, and then there's society that labels the woman who enjoys sex as wayward, while a man who struggles in the bedroom is left to suffer in silence, or he's too afraid to admit he needs help. So my name is Tomo Okiwale Shunaya, and this platform is here to break down barriers and spark honest conversations. And together, we will explore how understanding sex, its role, its challenges, and its impact can lead to a stronger, healthier, and more fulfilling relationships. Today on TounTalks, I have my friends. They were here with me last week, who are bold enough to share their personal stories of scars and how they were able to overcome. Emmanuel and Naomi will briefly talk about their stories, and our certified coach, Jennifer, is at hand to answer questions as well. Questions we could not answer last week, and we would allow for more questions, so don't hold back. Today, I also have a friend with me, Ibinabo Dixon. She's an educationist, and the reason why we invited Ibinabo was because after last episode, I was talking to my 22-year-old daughter, who I made a pact with her when she was about 10 years old, about 10 years old. And I said, please, Abike, if you can keep yourself a virgin, you can ask me for anything. And I promise to buy you anything. And we were talking last week, and she said, Mom, at 22, I'm still a virgin, right? And I high-fived her. And after high-fiving her, she stood back. She stood back and she said, "Oh, if my brother, who is 27 years old, is a virgin, Mommy, would you high-five him?" And I said, no, I think I would still want, I don't think I want Ayamide to still be a virgin at 27. I want him to understand and be active, and so that when he gets married, he can perform. And she said, really? So whose daughter is he going to be performing? Is he going to be practicing on? If you're keeping me, if you're happy that I'm a virgin, and that got me thinking, and I'm really hoping. Yes. Somebody just sent a message. She's 22 and still a virgin, and we will be talking about that as well. So today, as I said, we are still going to be talking about sex and relationships, and I just want to go straight to Naomi. Naomi, I'd like you to talk about your marriage of 2 years that didn't work, so that we can set the tone for today. Over to you, Naomi.
Hello everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for sharing your children's story. It's actually very, very enlightening. I met my ex-husband, my now ex-husband, in 2019. At the point where I met him, he had just recently lost his virginity. He was a virgin for 31 years, and his parents, his dad was a pastor, and his dad had advised him that he should remain a virgin until marriage, and that was what he was hoping for. He was hoping to remain a virgin till marriage. And at the point where both of us had gotten into the relationship, first we got to get to know each other. We weren't going to explore sexual activities just at the beginning of the relationship. Personally, I like to get to know the person first and be sure what I'm getting into. Well, we decided we're going to get intimate, and he suffered erectile dysfunction. And so after some time, it was very difficult for me to cope with that. And I told him, you know what, I actually need you to run certain tests. I need you to, go and get yourself checked. Let's know what the problem actually is. And I find that to be very important, because also I needed him to check for STDs, check for whatever it was, so you know that you're safe with the person that you're interacting with sexually. And so he was willing to go and get himself checked medically, which I appreciated at the time. I found that to be very brave of him. And so he went to get checked, by a doctor, and he was a little uncomfortable with me going there with him. So I would wait for him to come and give me, whatever reports came from the doctor. And the doctor had told him, that was when we discovered that he had been masturbating. And so, because he wanted to keep himself, he found masturbation a lesser evil. That's what he used to call it, because he wasn't engaging in sexual activities with anybody. He still maintained his virginity, but he was instead masturbating for about a decade, which had brought him to the point where being in a relationship and wanting to share the sexual experience with another person, he started suffering erectile dysfunction. So the doctor advised him, gave him some medicine, advised him to stop the masturbation, and quickly our sex life improved, and everything seemed okay. When he brought the results, now he told me he was negative of all the STDs I wanted to know, and other things. Now, where I felt betrayed was, he had done a sperm analysis, and he had discovered that he had low sperm counts. But because he loved me, and he didn't think I could take it, especially after what our relationship was going through with the erectile dysfunction. He didn't tell me that he was suffering some infertility, and we got into the marriage. Because he didn't want to give me the chance to choose not to marry him if I found that out. And in the marriage, after some months, I was waiting, to have kids, because he knows that I love children, and and I feel he did too. So um we started to suffer, and then we had to go and check, in a clinic, and found out that he was actually, he was actually suffering some, infertility, and he needed to take treatment. Now, at this point, because of his ego and because of how attached, it was to his manhood and his manliness, it was very, very difficult for him to comply with, the doctor's recommendations. At that point, he struggled with taking medicine. He struggled with complying with the treatment. He struggled with the hospital visits. And it was a very, very difficult time for any couple. Now, I was married for 2 years and 6 months. And imagine, suffering, going through that fertility journey. Anybody who has would know that it was a terrible experience. And that in turn affected our sex life as a couple, because when it came to the periods where I was ovulating, now where the doctors were advised that for this certain set of days you're supposed to be very, very sexually active, he would tell me, oh, he had performance anxiety, he couldn't perform, he was it was difficult for him in general. In fact, it became so frequent that he would instead choose for us to have an argument. So it would be that, oh, we're fighting, and since we're fighting, I don't think you should touch me, whether or not you're ovulating. And that was how it deteriorated until there were so many other problems that we experienced as a couple. And it was just sad to see him, because I couldn't even blame him for all the things we were going through, because it was sad to see that his years of masturbation and maybe a poor diet, you couldn't even blame him for suffering both erectile dysfunction and infertility after so many years of such a bad sexual habit, and only because he associated so much shame to sex and his indulgence in it. And I think that is the story for many Nigerians. That is our training from our parents. A lot of times, advice is that wait marriage, and then when you get to the marriage where you're allowed to be sexually active and allowed to be with your partner, you start with
Thank you very
problems,
much,
and there's
Naomi.
over
Thank you, Naomi, because your network is a bit funny. So I'm just quickly going to go to Emmanuel. But before I go to Emmanuel, just to mention that we are on Women Radio 91.7. This is Tone Talks. My name is Tone Okewale Shonaya. If you are in Lagos or Ogun State, you can tune in to 91.7 FM on your radio. We're Nigeria's only radio station for women and their families. If you are listening, or you can listen to us from anywhere in the world, we live stream at WFM917.com. And we are live on YouTube at Women Radio 917, where you can also drop your comments and questions. All the lines will be scrolling on the YouTube channel. Emmanuel, I want to come to you, Emmanuel and Sikak. Emmanuel, I'd like you to share your experience with us. You're the man, I call you the only bold man, the only man that is bold enough to come on Tone Talks. Emmanuel, you were a virgin at some point, right?
Yeah, correct.
You still a virgin?
Still.
Okay. Okay. And you're over 30, right?
Yes, I'm about 80.
And you're still a virgin. Please share
Yes.
your story with us. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, Tom, and thank you for yet another opportunity to be here again. Okay, so for me, my experience actually started when I was a teenager. So back then in my secondary school, I had a group of friends who we indulge in pornography that much. So that was what led me to masturbation. So at a very early age, I started masturbating. So I did not know that I was setting myself up for failure when it comes to relationship and when it comes to sex, until I discovered when I was in a relationship and we started engaging in some sexual activities, and I discovered that I could not maintain an erection. And I had to tell myself that, okay, I think something is wrong with me. I think I need to find a solution to this. And that was when I started doing a lot of research. I read books about every woman, how to understand the woman body. I went on YouTube and also studied how to understand the male body, right? Especially the penis area. So I discovered that there are lots of things that I was doing that was making my erection not to last long, right? When I engage in those sexual activities, and I started doing a lot of exercises. Um, I I don't drink, right? But I discovered that drinking a lot of water really helps, and also doing Kegel exercise really helps me a lot. Then also at some point, I started doing a lot of exercise to ensure that when I engage in any sexual activities, I can maintain that erection, I can maintain the control, and I can also give maximum satisfaction to my partner. So I discovered that there were lots of improvement, and a friend of mine gave me a particular experiment to do back then. Let me share this. So he said I should, whenever I'm doing my Kegel exercise and also sharpening the knife. So sharpening the knife means that I want to ensure that I maintain the control and maintain erection for long. So when I started doing that, I discovered that, okay, yes, that means I can actually when I stand this way, I can control myself for long. When I stand this way, or when I do this particular position, I can actually maintain a longer erection. So that actually helps me to understand my body as a man. So over the years, because I really want to ensure that when I get into marriage and start having that sexual experiences, I want to give my partner the maximum pleasure. So I try as much as possible to um, communicate, have an open communication with my former partner, which we had to draw a thin line between, okay, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, this is how I want to be pleased, and this is how I don't want to be pleased. And that has really helped me and also made me to realize that there are so much things I can really explore from my body. And also there's so much thing that I can explore from her body to ensure that both of us are on the same page when it comes to our sexual experiences. So
Thank you.
that's just my story for me.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Um, so for me to hear here that you are still a virgin is something we're going to discuss because two questions came up about being a virgin. So we are live on Women Radio 91.7. If you're in Lagos or Ogun, please tune in to 91.7. From anywhere in the world, we live stream at wfm917.com. We are on YouTube, live on YouTube as well. So please feel free to send in the questions on YouTube. I want to quickly bring in another guest, Ibn Abo, and the reason why we requested for Ibn Abo to join us, she's an educationist. I mentioned at the beginning, Ibn Abo, I was talking to my daughter who is 22 years old. And in fact, I spoke to my son as well. I said, "Oh, was I too open as a mother? Was I too?" Because I discussed sex with them at a very young age, and I remembered him saying, "No, you were not too open, mom, but it was just a bit awkward for a mother to be talking to his son about sex." And I think he was about 10 years old. He remembered, he's 27 now, he remembered. He said, I was 10 years old then, and it was just awkward for you talking to me. He said, but I understand that daddy doesn't talk about these things, and you work in the radio, mom, so I know that you're very outspoken. He said, but it would be good for daddies to discuss this. But it was my daughter that said to me that the school in the UK, and she said to me that at age 8, 9, 10, right? Sex education in UK schools, they taught them about penis, they showed them vagina, they showed them breast, they told them how when penis goes in there, how semen works, how it becomes a pregnancy. They demystify things like, you've heard boys, and I'm sure, some of us when we were young, you hear boys say things like, oh, if I put the penis in there, don't worry, you can't get pregnant because I'm going to hold back. They taught them in school that it doesn't work, that not everybody can hold back. So she said they taught. She said she knew everything. She said, even though I spoke to her, everything that had to do with penis, vagina, sex, condoms, they showed them how to use condoms in primary school. They spoke to them about abortion, right? They spoke to them about their body, how to say no, right? And they told them which clinics they could go to, even if they couldn't talk to their parents. And I'm now wondering, she's still a virgin at 22. And I'm now wondering, do we give, is this a kind of sex education we teach in Nigerian schools? You are the educationist, and this is why I've brought you on. Is this what we teach our children? Are they this informed? Are they this enlightened? Do they understand what the parts of their body, what it will do for them? Over to you, Ibn Abo. Ibn Abo, please unmute yourself.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be on the program. Let me quickly dive into what we are talking about. Okay, so you see, Nigeria, if you're comparing the United Kingdom to Nigeria, I mean, the gap is so wide because we are talking about a developed country, and here in Nigeria, aside from the school, we are looking at the community, the family. Sex education is not something that many parents are very comfortable discussing with their children, more so a child that is even below 10 years. But you see, in recent times, life is becoming a more complex web of psychological and social contradictions. These are so intimately linked to a lot of activities on the social media. So when I was a little girl, I mean, not much was talked about sex. Some of the things I got to learn were probably maybe I got to know one or two things from my mom, but she was not very explicit. She was just speaking things here and there. She didn't tell me everything. And I got to know about some because I was always hanging around my seniors in my primary school. So I got to know a bit, but I didn't understand. It has become imperative that we call for the review of the sex education curriculum in primary and secondary schools, because children, they are now, how do I put it now? They now need new answers, to more comprehensive, to the new answers to.
Ibn Abo, let me interrupt. Do they teach sex education in Nigerian schools? Do they show them a picture of a penis, how the vagina looks, how the breast looks? Do they teach them, about condoms? Do they, because they didn't, I wasn't taught this when I was in secondary school. Do they do that now in Nigerian schools?
Yes, to an extent, and mostly you get this in most of the private schools, not necessarily in the government schools. You get most of these things in the private schools. Some schools are becoming very, very intentional about it. Some schools they have special teachers who teach about sex education, because most of this, if you go to the government schools, most of them, they are like sort of, it's like they are stereotyped. They feel very shy to talk about sex education. And when you have that mindset, it becomes very difficult for you to actually dive deeper into what sex education is about. But I tell you, lately, in some even primary school, private primary school like that, they teach them about sex education, because it is important. They need it to protect themselves. They need it to interact with other children, because we can't take away the fact that there are some children who would
Mm,
engage in all
mm.
these activities.
I think you have helped by saying that they teach these things in Nigerian schools. But I want
Yes.
to get direct with you again. Do
Hmm.
they actually talk about vagina, penis, breast, and do they
Yes.
do they give pictures? They do that in primary schools, in Nigerian primary schools,
Yes. Because
public
there's
schools as well.
something they brought up. There's something they call pants. It came from the UK, actually, from a particular agency, LSPCC, the
Okay.
United Society for
All right.
Prevention.
So he is in our curriculum, right?
Is
For
there's
primary schools as well.
there's an acronym,
Okay.
PANT, pants.
Yes, I heard that.
You
Okay.
know,
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ibinabo. So this is Tone Talks. We are on Women Radio 91.7 FM. If you're in Lagos or Ogun State, you can tune in to 91.7 FM. Anywhere else in the world, we are live streaming WFM917.com. And we are also on YouTube. All the lines are now opened. All the lines are scrolling on your screen. This question is coming to you, Naomi. And you see, in Nigerian churches, women who can't conceive are often called out during prayers. In fact, they will say, if you're looking for the fruit of the womb, come out. They do crusade for women who are looking for children, forgetting that it could actually be the men that has issues. And men, on the other hand, you rarely hear messages about. In fact, I've never seen of a crusade for men with low sperm count. So maybe
And
hold on, I'm coming. So maybe we're hoping that we can start explaining to churches that they need to do crusade for men who have low sperm count, and probably if they are too if they don't want to be called out, maybe they should have men's forums. Yes, I'm serious. Emmanuel is nodding his head, but I want you to answer this question. This came from, okay, so this came from a man, and he said, so my wife is suffering. She has been praying for a child, but I know that I am the problem. I didn't treat an STD while in the university, and it affected me. I was ashamed to tell anybody now. I weep every time because my wife has not stopped fasting and praying so we can have children. So again, this is talking about our society. It's the women that we call out for the fruit of the womb crusade. Over to you, Naomi. Emmanuel, you will talk about it because I saw you nodding your head. Naomi.
yeah, Yes, I can completely relate to what this gentleman is saying, because this is exactly the circumstance I found myself. Nobody wants to be in this kind of circumstance. And the church and the society has a way of pressuring women, in that if you haven't had a child, your in-laws are asking you questions. My in-laws were asking me questions. The society is like, they were even asking me, why haven't you gotten pregnant? Is it because you like your body so much, you're trying to, maintain your fine face? Don't you know you're supposed to be pregnant by now? You get questions like that. And in the church, because women are seen as the carriers, they forget that this conception is done from an act shared by two people, by a couple. When going in and out of fertility clinics, the doctors will tell you that many a times the man is the problem, a lot of times. And then, now that's not even to say we have an infertility problem with most men. The fact is, theirs is treatable, is easier to handle, but because of how it is so attached to their ego and their manliness, they don't come forth for this treatment. I know of couples who, the woman goes to the fertility clinic, they tell her there's nothing wrong with you, bring your husband, and the husband is just not going to go in this circumstance. And I understand that his ego and his pride is very directly attached to, his fertility. This is your wife. You can see that she needs answers. That is why she's praying. She's desperate. She needs answers. Whatever advice she will get from any other person is to pray and wait on God. She will go to the clinics by herself, and she's not going to see what the problem is. As a couple, you owe that to her. You owe honesty to her. You owe transparency to her, because now she is very affected by the circumstance. She's very affected by this problem, and she for the life of her, she can't imagine that, he would be holding back that kind of information. There's no way I would have imagined that the person I married had found out. We had gotten to the clinic, and then I saw from his reaction that he already knew. I wouldn't have believed that him knowing that kind of thing will hold it back from me. And so I would advise a young man who, listen, if your ego is so attached to your fertility, go to by yourself.
All right.
You can't
So
share it. Yes.
Nomi, your
The
line
problem
is not stable anymore. Okay.
Okay.
So hopefully you will get an opportunity to give that advice again. Emmanuel, let's quickly hear what you have to say.
Okay, yes. So for me, I totally relate to what Naomi said. That's because for men, because of their ego, right, they will not want to subject themselves. Okay, let me go and check myself. And when you go to churches, like you said, there are lots of crusade or lots of miracle service. Oh, get your miracle baby from the women's angle, but from the men's angle, you don't see these things. And even when they have men's fellowship or men's seminar, they don't discuss this thing there. And that's why I've
Are
told
you are
myself
you are you serious? They don't discuss these things
they
at
don't
men's
discuss
fellowship.
they don't discuss most of these things. They might just touch it from the surface, but they
Huh.
don't really go in depth. So that's why I have told myself that maybe I'll come up with a group or start putting out content, advising men that this is your partner, for God's sake. Right? You chose her, you want to spend the rest of your life with her. You are supposed to ensure that if there's an issue, whether it's from you or from her, both of you need to be open to it. And you must come to the fact that if you don't check yourself, it's neither helping your marriage nor is even helping your future children. Because if you want to bring life into this world and to ensure that you impact values into the life of your children, you should subject to yourself as a man. Leave that ego. Don't worry. We can showcase our ego with our job, with our passion, with our purpose in life. But when it comes to the matrimonial home, right, you need to keep those ego down. Go for checkup. Ensure you check up yourself, right? Treat yourself and give your partner the maximum pleasure that she needs. So for me, that's what I can say about this issue.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. You said that maybe you're going to set up a group. I think you should, and we will see what we can do to help you, because a lot of women are being, spiritually abused. I'm going to call it that way. Spiritually, the church is also abusing women. As I said, I've never, maybe I can be proven wrong. I've never seen a church, I've never seen a crusade where they said, men, if you have low libido, or if your sperm count is low, or if your penis is not active, come out. Let us lay hands on you because miracles do happen. And year in, year out, you see these crusades, it is women, fruit of the womb. And like you said, I'm aware, I'm not aware, but I've read that even when couples want to do IVF, some of the things they do is to check the man and check the woman first and foremost and cut out all of those. But again, I really think you need to set up that group, and hopefully a lot of men can come, and you can also teach some of these men how to take care of themselves and their partners. Now I need to call the studio lines. The lines are opened. It's on the YouTube screen, but for those who are listening on radio on 91.7, the studio lines are 07000 917 917. That is 07000 917 917 and 0915 5917 917. 0915 5917 917. There's a free toll number for women only. So if you're a woman, there's a free toll number for you. You're not going to be charged for that. That is 0800 123 5917. 0800 123 5917. You can text or WhatsApp 08155 917 917. All of these numbers are scrolling on the screen. Now, this is a question, and this person wants to be, and you can also drop your questions or comments on YouTube as well. This person wants to be anonymous. She's in her early 20s, and she got married in November 2024, which is about 2 months old now. She said she had dated 2 men before her husband, although the husband never asked her about her sexual history. After the wedding night, he kept an angry face that I didn't react like a virgin would in bed, and he saw no blood stains. I asked him if he was a virgin too, and he flared up. Our relationship is strained, and I don't know what to do. I want to come to you, Jennifer, on this one. And if Naomi wants to touch on it, she can, but I want to come to you on this, Jennifer. Hello, Jennifer. Can you respond to that, please? Thank you.
Yeah, hello, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, what I want to say is, because most times before couples get married, I always encourage couples to discuss certain questions, including sex, what your expectations are about sex, children, family, values, etc. But what was he expecting? Did he marry her because he thought she was a virgin? Did they discuss it? And it wasn't wrong for her to ask him if he was a virgin and for him to react like that, because sometimes we put certain, I feel is like double standard. You are angry because she's not a virgin, and then she asks you if you were also a virgin, and then you flare up. So it means that if you expect her to be a virgin, but you are not a virgin. Like, I don't know what they communicated before they got married. If she married him under the pretense that she was a virgin, or he expected her to be a virgin, but flaring up like that because she was not a virgin is a bit double standard for me, because especially if he is not a virgin, she clearly has been in 2 relationships before she got married. So what was he expecting? I think they should communicate and talk about it, because flaring up and allowing such strain at the early stage of your marriage or whatever stage, it doesn't make sense. So we have to understand if he thought he was marrying her as a virgin, or if she told him that she was a virgin, and then find a way to communicate and understand how to walk through that. Because you can't love the person you marry less because they are a virgin or they are not a virgin. So what did they discuss? What were the expectations for the marriage?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Emmanuel, do you want to quickly touch on that?
Yes, please. Yeah, thank you. Let me just quickly touch on that. So, like what Jennifer said, right? What was he expecting? Now, this is your wife. this is your wife. Do you love her? Number one. So do you want her to be performing in some certain way that you have it in your head? Now, before the marriage, what was the discussion? She was clearly in two different relationships. Did you ask her? Was there any communication about sexual expectation? Okay, let's leave that aside. She's your wife now. You're supposed to love her, right? And if she's not performing what you want her to perform in bed, you're supposed to, okay, have that conversation. Oh, this is what I expect. This is what I expect. I need to do this, and this. And if she's asking you to, if you're a virgin, I don't see anything wrong there. It's just she's your wife. Oh, I am a virgin. Oh, I was not a virgin. I was expecting this and this. So for me, things are very simple. It's just that we just take it out of proportion and just bring huge quarrel over little things. So that's what I'll say.
Thank you very much. So this came from Lulu in Abuja. Apparently, okay, it was in response. She said, just in response to my chat with Naomi. She said, I suffered this for 8 years with my husband. People assumed I was a problem and this sent me from one church or the other. But the truth was my husband had low sperm count and he didn't speak up and I was blamed. Should I be open and inform my husband's family he is a problem as I was covering for him? Naomi, I want you to answer that.
I think her staying quiet so far is out of consideration that I can relate to. And it's understandable that you don't want this to get out because his ego is already very affected and you need him as compliant as possible. So you keep it to yourself that he is a problem. It's fine. We as a society, women have, been able to adjust certain things. But personally, when it got really difficult for me, I didn't go to my family
So, Naomi, okay, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. The question is, should she tell his family?
Yes, I think she should. I think she
Okay.
should tell his family, but with his permission. I told his family because I needed them to give him the encouragement he needed to seek treatment.
Okay.
And so, for the right reasons, it is a good idea to tell his family if you know that they will be encouraging him and to remove some pressure from you as a wife.
Did you get
you
the
have to.
permission of your ex-husband before you told his parents? Because you spoke about
Well,
permission.
yeah, I spoke about permission. I didn't get permission, and
Okay.
it
So
would have
Naomi, your
done
line is not really clear. You're breaking. I hope I can come back to you on that. Jennifer, should she tell his parents?
I think she should. Like,
Okay.
8 years is a long time. Not because most times, like Naomi said, the truth is I understand what the lady is going through. At those initial stage, both of them, for me, is if he was not aware and he found out, that's understandable. So both of them are working towards solution. But if for 8 years she's, according to his family, she's the problem, if he even loves her enough, that's how I feel, he would be the one to bring it up, that my love or my dear or whatever they call themselves. I feel like you should let your parents know what the
Thank you. So, okay, Emmanuel, I'm coming to you now. You're the man here. Should she tell his parents with or without his permission? Because Naomi is talking about permission. Should she tell his parents?
Okay, so if she had brought up the conversation with him and there's a bit of resistance from his end, I think, right, based on my opinion, she should actually go ahead to tell the parents, but she should first ask for permission from the man. So that's just what I want to contribute as regards that.
Okay. Ibn Abo, you're the educationist here. You're also a parent. Should this lady, let's see her as let's assume she's our daughter, and at the same time, let's take on the role of the in-laws, the man's parents. Would you be comfortable if your daughter-in-law comes to you and said your son, his husband, is the one with the erectile concerns?
Oh, okay, thank you. I think it's only fair that she discusses with the parents because most of the time, everybody blames the woman. So, how many bodies is she going to carry? Let her discuss with them so that, like one of the ladies said, so that it's a means of getting help, encourage him to get help because he needs help. So, she should discuss with his parents.
Thank you very much. This is TounTalks on Women Radio 91.7 FM. We're live streaming WFM917.com. And if you're in Lagos, you can listen to us on 91.7. I'm being told we have about 18 minutes to go. We have quite a number of questions. Let me quickly um, take this one. It says, for many households, marriage is seen as a way to avoid sexual temptations. Elders often say, get married early so you don't fall into sin. Oh, I know you're shaking my head. I was talking to Olusegun Akishola is his name. And he also said, oh, Tom, in my days, we married young, and so we didn't explore. Anyway, let me go back to this. So marriage is seen as a way to avoid sexual temptation. Elders often say, get married early so you don't fall into sins. But others believe taking time to explore relationships before settling down helps people understand what they want in a partner. The challenge is that waiting too long might lead to pressure from family or society, while rushing into marriage might mean ignoring red flags. Now, so this question is, should young Nigerians consider marrying? No, it said, I think young Nigerians should consider marrying early too and gradually build their sexual appetite and not take time to explore different partners before settling down. You guys get the gist. Let me come to you, Jennifer, quick, because we don't have that much time. So if you can do this in a minute for me, that would be good.
Okay, for me, I feel like just marry when you are ready. And I feel marrying because you are avoiding temptation is one of the wrongest reasons to marry. It's the wrongest foundation to get married. Marry when you are mentally, emotionally, spiritually ready. It's not bad to have certain partners because the truth is, everybody may not be fortunate to meet the love of their life at the first time and marry. Some people will learn from certain relationships, so they become better. So whoever they get married to, they are ready to give their best. So for me, I feel like find yourself, understand why you're getting married. It's a process because a lot of people get married young, some people get married later in life, but it's good to just understand why you're getting married. So no matter what the challenges come or how the marriage turn out, you are ready for the consequences and the responsibility that comes with marriage. Because marrying to just satisfy sexual appetite or being, it's a bit wrong because now
Thank you.
you understand the sex and all that. You hear some people, they get married early at later age, they start married too early. Now I'm myself, I now see what I like. Those things happen. So marry when
Thank you.
you're ready. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Naomi, I'm coming to you. So should and I'm going to ask everybody this question, by the way. So should we consider marrying early too and gradually build the sexual appetite, or is it better to take time to explore different partners before settling down? Naomi.
I think it's important to know yourself before you're married, because if you don't know who you are, you don't know what you like, you're going to make the wrong choice in a partner. And if I can understand not wanting to fall into temptation, but it's not about temptation. It's not about you not being. I think it's easier to keep your virginity up to 20 and marry, right? Yes, it is, but in the long run, that dissatisfaction might meet you later. So you knowing yourself, and this is by means of exploration, is very, very important. So that when you
Thank
choose a
you.
partner, you know you're doing the right thing.
Thank you. Emmanuel.
Okay, so for me, it is very, very important for me to understand myself, understand my triggers, understand my body. And that's because I've had friends tell me, oh, it's better to marry than to born. So they are quoting this Bible passage that say it's better to marry than to born. And these are the same people that I'll see tomorrow, and they'll be on my DM. Oh, I'm having this issue. Oh, this, and I'm like, okay, fine. Did you discover yourself first? What are the things that you did to prepare yourself for marriage? Oh, everybody just wants to jump into marriage. That's because it is the thing now. Oh, marry early. You are young, you're supposed to marry early. But if you're not ready mentally, right, like Naomi said, spiritually, right, it is definitely going to affect, and also sexually. Because I also discovered that most people, they don't even most men and most women, they're not biased, they don't even understand sex. Like sex, not for enjoyment, but for pleasure. They just want to say, oh, it's better to marry than to born. Oh, I have stayed for like 30 years, I'm not married. Let me just go and find somebody I just put in the house. So it's not really helping a lot of couples. I know a lot of couples, my friends, who are married, right? And they are having a lot of issues. So that's just what I would like to say
Thank
about
you
that.
very much. I understand we have 13 minutes to go. So this is coming to you, Emmanuel. Oh, a call. Okay, we have a call. So we'll
Yeah,
take the
hello,
call.
good evening.
Okay, we can take the call.
Yeah, good evening. This is Daro, and I'm calling from Imo State.
Thank you, Dalo. Go ahead and what would you like to discuss or ask?
Well, I'm just calling to inform you that I'm enjoying your program, and wish you guys to keep it up, and happy, prosperous New Year to you guys.
Thank you, Dalo. Before you go, Dalo, are you married? Is everything okay in the relationship, sex-wise?
I'm not yet married, but very soon I'll be walking down the aisle.
Mm. Make sure you
All
hit
right.
up with Emmanuel, because we want to be sure that you are ready and that you are able to satisfy your wife, and that she also understands what you both need to do to understand your body and what the relationships require, so
Uh,
that you can have a fantastic relationship, right?
uh, all right, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. And take care of yourself and
Yeah.
enjoy Imo. Thank you. So this is TounTalks on Women Radio 91.7. The lines are open, 917 The lines are on the screen, so you can pick them up on the screen. So Emmanuel, I said I get 12 minutes we have. I said I wanted to come to you. You see, society tells Nigerian men that they have to be strong in bed, leaving out the fact that men do struggle with these issues. Like, we've spoken about erectile dysfunction, we've spoken about low libido. This came through from, okay, Henry. He said, I'm a male listener and I want to know why men always have to be under pressure to perform. I am tired of taking performance pills. It is affecting my erection badly, and I cannot tell my partner, who always wants me to satisfy her, because I don't want her to find another man, and I really love her. So this is society on men. Emmanuel, I want to come to you on that. Thank you.
Okay, so for men, right, there's a lot of societal expectations, and that's because we've exposed ourselves to the movies that we watch, and also there are a lot of pornography movie out there that tells you that, okay, this is how you're supposed to perform. And again, there's something I've also noticed, that's because those people who have engaged in one relationship or the other, right? So they've discovered that, okay, so this is how my partner was, or this is how my partner treats me in bed. And because of that, they have that kind of expectation. And because of that kind of expectation, most men are being triggered to, right, want to take hard drugs. Sometimes they want to take some stimulants to ensure that they boost their performance. There's this person I follow on Instagram, Dr. Malik, right? So there was this particular chocolate. Yeah. So he said they've been asking him, oh, as a man, can I take this chocolate? Because the chocolate has a lot of sexual benefits. So he told his followers that he's going to try it. And when he tries it, he's going to give them the feedback. When he tried it, he discovered that at some point, right, it boosted his performance, right? But after some time, he discovered that he was having a lot of headache. He was having anxiety. He was not able to perform at work. The things that he was supposed to do, he was not able to do it. That's because the side effects, right, from what he took was telling on him after he had engaged in those sexual performance, which most people actually want their partner to do. So there are lots of dangerous side effects to this thing that people take. Now, performance is majorly psychological. Why? That's because these things are treatable. These things are something that you and your partner, you can easily go through it together. There are lots of stories about partners who the man was not able to perform, but because of the understanding from the wife and how both of them were easily understand and solve that issue, you discover that they were able to start having such great sexual experiences. So for me, taking stimulants to help yourself, it is definitely going to affect you in the long run. So I'll advise that most men actually step down on this thing and just go natural, go the flow. 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it does not matter. What matters is the experience that both of you
Thank you.
have
Thank
sexually.
you. Thank you very much. So thank you very much for that. We have about 5 more minutes, I'm being told. So I'm going to try and rope these two questions. And for anybody who wants to answer. This is from, so she said, I fake moans when my husband is having sex with me so that he won't complain. And he's a good man. At 47 years old, I am tired of pretending in my 5-year-old marriage. I can't even tell him. What should we do? I think at this point in time, we quickly need to just talk about how abuse. Let me come to you, Jennifer, the sex coach,
Okay.
first. If you can do this in a minute, that would be good for me so I can get everybody to talk.
Because most times, even the man may not be aware. She's like faking the money is like deceiving him. Who knows? Maybe he wants to even satisfy her, or somewhere in his mind, he feels like she's satisfied. Because I've noticed that women are always, just because we are not afraid of, we didn't grow up in a society of speaking out. So it's a bit hard for people. But a lot of men that come to me seeking help, men and women, I realize that men actually like women that are bold, that are honest. Sometimes it's hard when men like women that can even sometimes initiate sexual intimacy. I know it's hard because of ego and all that, but we've been taught so much to consider their ego and all that. But sometimes men also want to be vulnerable enough to say, okay, what are the areas I should improve on? So communicate and discuss it with him. That's what I'll suggest. You're on mute.
Naomi, if you can do this for me in 1 minute, because I have another question that just dropped in and I'd like to take.
I would advise, while I know that it is a very emotional subject, I would advise that while we have not recommended masturbation at any point, as a woman, it's important that you know your body. It's important that you know the good sides, what feels good, what does not. It will help you communicate this to your partner. And so it will ease out that communication between the both of you while you try all the things that might work.
Thank you. So I'm going to quickly take this. He said, good evening. Oh, this person wants to connect with you, by the way, Emmanuel. It says, good evening, WFM. Thank you for doing this. I want to remain anonymous. I'm a guy of 34 years old. I'm still a virgin. Please, ma, I made a vow that I will marry as a virgin, but I'm yet to have a good going relationship. What should I do? So, and the person wants to connect with you, Emmanuel. So I don't know whether you have a word to share with him, and please share your social media handle or how people can reach out to you. Emmanuel, over to you.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely connect with the person. So if you are 34 years of age, that's quite that's quite a good one. That's because I don't think I can actually get to that stage for now. But for you to have a steady relationship, first, for a guy, let me just come from the guy perspective. You need to what are your drive? What are those goals that I want to achieve further? Because for me, sexual pleasure, right, comes from when the guy is actually doing well in life. Because if you're not doing well in life as a guy, number one, it's one trigger. That's because when you are in a relationship, truth be told, your partner might start comparing you with other guys, especially when the partner has had several relationships. So you must find yourself as a guy, right? Know what you want to do in life, get started on what you want to do in life. And when you are sure that, okay, it's time for me to start having sexual relationship, I think you should now venture into it. But before then, understand your body. Like me, I've done so many things I need to do to ensure that I understand my body. I train myself because I want to have the best sexual experience. So I've trained myself to that point where, oh, this is the
So,
things I need to
Emmanuel,
do.
I'm going to have to interrupt you because we have about 2 minutes to go. Please drop your handle. Drop your handle. What's your handle?
Okay, I'll type it on the chat window.
All right, okay. So Naomi, the last comment I'm able to take. See, and I mentioned this earlier about my daughter, but this person has just sent a message in, and it seems like it's my daughter. She said, I'm 26 years old. I recently shared being a virgin with my mom. Even though she's always told me to keep myself. However, I find it disturbing that I was advised not to have sex all my life, but none of my parents said the same thing to my male siblings. I don't think it's fair. Do you want to quickly talk on that? Again, I
Yes,
mean, before you say something, I understand that there is a church over the weekend, the Seventh Day Adventist Church in Ghana. They had a conference and they celebrated 20 young girls for preserving their virginity. The girls are between aged 13 to 16. They received undisclosed financial support during a special Thanksgiving. What about men? Who commends men when they keep themselves as virgin? And at the same time, you're keeping yourself a virgin. Jennifer told us what her father said to her, and that will be your wrap up. We have 2 minutes to go, please, because there's a program that needs to go on. Yeah.
yes, I think virginity is a very, it is a representative of
Your network is not too good, Naomi. Jennifer, let me quickly come to you. What your father told you, please help me so that we can wrap up. Thank you.
Sex education, like we've already established, should be discussed in schools. And if women are being commended for being virgins, men should also be commended for being virgins.
Thank
But
you.
like parents, church, and the society should communicate actually how to understand bodies, how the
Thank
body
you.
works, how to
Thank you.
understand what sex is all
Thank you very much. I need to end because they're going to cut us off.
Yeah.
Tone Talks is where we allow life lessons to shape our choices. Honest conversations with no constraints. Thank you, Naomi. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Ivinabo. I'm sure we've been able to talk about the biggest issue, which is sex that people don't like to talk about. Thank you to my producer, Miracle Philip, and engineer Michael, A.K. Paul, and of course, Nimi Ben Jack. Thank you. Thank you to everybody. You know, my name is Tone Okiwale Shunaya. This is Tone Talks, and we'll be here next Sunday at 5 p.m. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Thank you, Naomi. Sorry, I can't take anything again. Thanks all. Bye.
I love you. I want to marry you. I want